starting off with the Pledge of Allegiance. So I'll do it for this. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And our vision statement: growing empowered, future-ready students who are prepared for a lifetime of opportunity and success. Next on our agenda is what we call Tell Me Something Good. It's an opportunity for members of the board to give something positive they've seen through the school or with some of our students or in the community. So open up the floor to anybody who wants to tell us something good.
I think I would just like to mention, I noticed even today, I think it was the girls volleyball team, just our academic excellence. I think we've seen that with some of our tennis teams. And so just a shout out to our students who continue to stay busy through athletics, but maintain just such high academic standing. I think it's a real tell of just how our teachers and our coaches and everybody's working together. And so that's just such an incredible recognition to continue to have with our students.
Thank you, Jen.
I'd like to give a shout out to our faculty and staff, along with our first responders who turned out in great numbers at the Elks a couple weeks ago for Officer Maddox and his wife. She, I guess, is battling cancer, and they did a fundraiser. And I know the Elks staff was overwhelmed, not expecting that many people, and they raised a great amount of money for them. And it was just great to see all the people that turned out for him.
I'm excited. Coach Newton is taking the middle school kids to Indiana Wesleyan for camp. And I'm just excited to see the new coach get involved with the youth and kind of get them excited for the high school. So I think that's great.
And we did have several of our students go to the IHSAA Leadership Summit at Motor Speedway.
Yes.
So that was also came up several times during the athletic director interviews. So it was nice to see those. I think there were 6 of them that ended up down there. So,
Yes. Yep.
so that was good to see as well.
That's a great program.
All right. Well, thank you all for contributing to that. Next on the agenda is comments from the community. We had nobody signed up for this evening to speak, so we will move on to the consent agenda. We need approval of the consent agenda, which contained the approval of our minutes from our regular session in June 2025. We have approval of claims. We have payroll from June 30th and July 3rd, and accounts payable claims from July of 2025. We have approval of a personnel report, which I'll read at the conclusion of this. And then we also have approval of field trips for the cheerleader Disney trip in November of 2025. And then, as Andrea mentioned, we have the boys basketball overnight camp in July 2025. And then we also have the approval to accept donations from the Boys and Girls Club of Tipton County for the iReady partnership. So let me read the personnel report. On maternity leave and certified staff, we have Erin Strayer requesting maternity leave and Taylor Sampson requesting maternity leave. Reassignment of duties, Rick Stilson from coordinator of special ed to special ed teacher in the middle school. And we had a reduction in force of Darren Pratt, who was a special ed teacher in the middle school. Classified staff, we have the termination of Marvin Moss, and recommendations are Natasha Surface for summer bus cleaning, Audrey Benefell for summer painting, and Jody Hettinger for special ed bus aid for the 25 and 26 school year. The ECA staff recommendations are Danielle Grubb for the elementary school grade level team chair 5th grade, and Dana Lee Fernung for 7th grade volleyball head coach, Tom Lyday for the TCSC safety coordinator, and Dr. Cliff Hackman for the special education coordinator, and that is our personnel report for July 8th. I would entertain a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. Any comments or questions?
I do. Out of full transparency, I need to make it known that I am the administrator on the project related to the donation from the Boys and Girls Club. So therefore I need to recuse myself from voting on that out of an abundance of caution.
Thanks, Kim. All right, I have a motion and a second with one recusal. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the motion carries. Next on our agenda is the superintendent's report. Dr. Glaze, you are on.
Yes, it'll be a very brief superintendent's report, but a superintendent's report nonetheless. Basically, you might notice that we're starting to stage our re-roofing project. Some fencing, some dumpsters, some different things like that are starting to come up. We're hoping that that tear off will start as early as this week. And so we feel like that, that's in great shape. You might have noticed we are doing some sidewalk replacement as part of a summer project. We are just trying to replace some sections that are in pretty bad shape. There's a lot that's not in amazing shape, but there are some worse places than others. So we're trying to get those taken care of. Also, parking lot crack filling. We'll start this week, and again, that's just something we do where we try to keep the cracks filled so that they don't fill with water, snow, other things that can create a big hole and eventual crumble of our asphalt. Just a preventative measure. And then I didn't want to make the board aware that we did submit the COPS school security grant. It was submitted June 26th. And that is a $500,000 federal grant with a TCSC match of $125,000. Primarily, what we're looking at with this grant is replacing interior and some exterior doors in the high school, and also updating our camera system throughout the corporation. And We've been told that we have a good shot at getting this grant. I'm not sure it'll be fully funded at $500,000, but you got to go for it if you can. So that's kind of where we are. So anyway, so that was submitted, and I will know more about that around the 1st of October. Last year was actually like September. It was pretty early. So just kind of our upcoming agenda items. We will do a work session next month. We're going to talk a little about the 26-27 academic calendar. I will, after tonight, share a drive folder that has some of our other K-6 schools and their calendars, so you kind of see what they're doing. We will need to have a discussion on the TAG grant. The TAG grant, it was changed considerably during the legislative session. It is far different than what it has been, and we just need to have a conversation on how we may want to use those funds. And I will tell you, and I know you'll be shocked, there's not been a whole lot of guidance from the Indiana Department of Education, which they were supposed to provide. So typically that's something that we have to approve every August. So I'm hoping that they will delay that approval so we can have some decent conversation. And but regardless, it has to be approved one way or another. And so we'll deal with it as it comes. We have the 2025 iLearn iRead data share that will be coming out in the August meeting. That is still embargoed. Otherwise, we would be sharing it tonight. And then also for the August meeting, we have the approval of the certified evaluation plan. The evaluation plan is pretty much going to stay as it was, but we're asking some teachers to do a pilot of SMART goals, very similar to what we have our admin do. And again, as part of a process of maybe adding that to the evaluation in the next year, just kind of taking some volunteers to see how it works and helping them through that process. So pretty much a similar document to what we've had in the past. I have been asked to call it something different, so it might have a different name, but it's still going to have the same spirit and same content for the most part. And that's it.
Very good.
I have one question.
Yeah.
I didn't understand the security grant.
Yes.
We applied for that.
Yes.
And then the 125,000, that's,
That's the match.
it comes out of,
It would come out of operations.
Out of
funds.
operations.
Yeah.
so is that a
So-
stipulation of if we give you,
You have to give a percentage. So
that was my next question.
yeah,
If we
so
don't
if
get
it's-
500,000, then our number
Yeah.
goes down.
down.
Okay.
Yes. Last year, there were some smaller corporations that were awarded, I think, 200,000 and 300,000. So I wouldn't be shocked if that's kind of where we are.
And then our match would be
But-
like half what you have.
Exactly.
Okay,
Exactly.
just trying to figure out.
No, I get it, absolutely. But the one thing that's super nice about that is it really does allow us to, we already have a pretty strong school security, but this just makes us even better. So,
Well, Officer Maddox has a wish list.
yeah, I'm sure. We've talked about it a lot, so I'm sure that there'll be a nice wish list on all of that. Absolutely.
All right. Any other questions? All right, next on our agenda is the departmental reports that were in your packet. We had the Associate Superintendent report and the Technology Board, or the technology update from Stephen. I didn't know if anybody had any questions or comments on that?
Food service is off, so
That,
we
yeah,
typically don't have
he
to
gets
do that.
he gets a pass for July.
Yes,
right?
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
All right. Well, that leaves us with, next on the agenda, the financial report from Brooke Cleaver.
Thank you. For June, we ended the month with balances as follows. Education Fund, $906,002.81. Operations Fund, $1,782,690.10. Debt service after our payments is $1,058,836.09. And rainy day fund remains at $2,003,833.41. On June 10th, we did receive the rest of our spring property taxes along with the financial institution, commercial vehicle, and licensed excise revenues. And then I detailed how those were split between operations and debt service for you there. And then additionally, we received our local income tax dollars and supplemental payment from the county on June 12th for $51,163.16.
Very good. Thank you, Brooke. Any questions? Okay. On to old business. We have in your packet the second reading and adoption of batch 6 of the CCHA Board Policy Administrative Guidelines and Forms. And I would be looking for a motion and a second to approve these policies upon second reading.
I move to approve batch number 6 of CCHA Board Policy Administrative Guidelines and Forms.
Second.
All right, have a motion and a second to approve batch number 6. All those in favor, would you signify by saying aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Batch 6 is approved. On to new business, we have an editorial comment on this. So we have approved all of these policies previously.
Yes.
There is, because of the legislative session now, there's been some changes to policies that we've already approved. So what we've got here is first reading of those changes. So we've approved all this. They've come in and messed up the sandbox. Now we gotta do this again. So for the public's awareness, it's non-discrimination and anti-harassment updates, the board's authority and philosophy update, the organization of the board update, membership updates, attendance, academic engagement, and truancy prevention policy update, and the e-religious instruction attendance form, some anti-bullying updates, the student suicide prevention and awareness update, standard of care and supervision of students updates, and personal background checks and mandatory reporting updates. And then the religious release time and credit for the religious ed is updated in this packet. and purchasing procedures and capital assets, which is something new. And then the audio, visual, and digital recording on school property and school meetings is included. Data breach and protection, the school visitors and parent-family engagement, and the updated notice of executive session forms is included in there as well. So that is first reading. We'll approve that in our August meeting, but did want you to know that this is an administrative thing we've got to go through again because of some changes. So any questions on that, or did I make that clear as mud? Okay, good. Next on our agenda is the approval of the KSAC Joint Services Agreement. In your packet is that joint services agreement between the Kokomo Area Special Ed Cooperative, known as KSAC, and 5 other school districts that include Tipton Community School Corporation. Each school district must approve the joint services agreement annually. So this is, again, kind of an administrative function that we're doing here in the summer lull. But I would be looking for a motion and a second to approve the KSAC Joint Services Agreement.
I move to approve the KSAC's joint agreement.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second to approve the KSAC Joint Services Agreement. Would all those in favor signify by saying aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the motion carries. Next, we have the approval of an MOU with the Darrow Chapel Early Learning Center. The purpose of this document is to outline the responsibilities of the identified agencies in the collaborative provision of services to preschool children ages 3 to 5 who are eligible to participate in the Kokomo School Corporation Head Start program. TCSC, as well as the other KSAC schools, must approve this memorandum annually. The document has been through the approval process with Kokomo School Corporation and their Board of Trustees. I would be looking for a motion and a second to approve the MOU with Darrow Chapel.
I move to approve the MOU with Darrow Chapel Early Learning Center.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the MOU. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. And then another administrative function for the newer board members is annually we're asked to roll over the administrative contracts for an additional year. All administrators listed in your packet have been rated effective or highly effective during the 24-25 school year. It is recommended that the administrative contracts be extended an additional year through 26-27. It is good to note here that we're not approving any salaries or any of that type of thing. Those will be adjusted after the approval of the new CBA occurs. So this is just to roll over the contract. So I'd be looking for a motion and a second to approve the administrative contract rollover.
I move to approve the administrative contract rollover.
I second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second to approve contract rollover. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. All right, next on our agenda is the approval of the student and athletic handbooks. Included in your packet are updated student and athletic handbooks for the 25-26 school year. The handbooks have been updated to meet new legislative requirements from the Indiana General Assembly. One document in memo form as it is in memo form as it changes for this year, and the second is the complete handbook. It is the recommendation to approve the handbooks as written. I'll be looking for a motion and a second to approve the student and athletic handbooks.
I move to approve the student and athletic handbooks.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second to approve student and athletic handbooks. All those in favor, please
I have a
signify.
question.
Oh,
I read these and I was confused because the outlines of them were different, whether they were elementary, middle school, or high school. And I found different information, whether it was middle school, high school, elementary. For example,
under health curriculum, there's discussion about substance abuse. It's not grouped as substance abuse. It's about not smoking and alcohol. There's no mention of no drugs. And then in other places, then it talks about not vaping and cigarettes. Well, I think all of that should be consistent, whether you're in elementary school, middle school, or high school. And I did not see that consistency. And it was just, to me, very hard to follow, and it would be hard to keep up. For example, the dress code. The dress code should be the same in elementary, middle school, or high school. That's my opinion. So, I know people did a lot of work on this. But to me, it needs to be one student handbook. And then under a specific, where there is an exception, okay? Maybe we don't talk about sexual education to elementary, okay? Maybe we should. That's just one example, okay? But we ought to be talking about not smoking, not drinking, not vaping in elementary, middle, and high school. Because if you only talk about it in high school, it's too late.
Any other questions or comments on the athletic or student handbooks? That is good feedback to take back.
Yep.
And, but at the end of the day, we need to approve these now, Tammy. So I understand if you vote a different way on that, that's fine. But we need to get these through, but we will take those recommendations into to bear as we look at this for subsequent years. So,
And I will say, ironically, that's something that Mr. Jaworski and I were talking about earlier today, that whether we have 3 different handbooks or a single handbook, they all need to follow kind of the same order.
Yes.
And that's something that we will be working on over the next year. I mean, literally, we had this conversation probably about 4 hours ago. And
But if you have
just,
students in each building, we have many families that have students in several buildings. That consistency between the handbooks would be immensely helpful for families who are trying to find that. And like you said, a lot of those things, a lot of the policies, a lot of the handbooks are gonna overlap. There are, like you mentioned, there are gonna be some that are going to be more specific and more emphasized in certain buildings than others. But I think, like to Dr. Lace's point, that there's value in there being some level of consistency in the structure, where to find it in the language that's being used.
I think it would be a whole lot easier to keep updated if you had one. And another reference was, there was reference to AI in one of them, but not all 3 of them. Well, there are some pretty smart 4th graders who might already be using AI.
I'm guessing they are.
Yes, I'm guessing there are. Yes, so that was not consistent, okay? And that's what I was looking for, was the consistency, and I just found it hard to follow where I was.
I think we believe that that's reasonable. And that, it's kind of funny that Scott and I were talking about that earlier, because I do believe that that's one thing that we can do. We did kind of a deep dive into handbooks about 3 years ago and tried to get everything in line as far as language and how it was used. Every time we do an update, there's a potential for that to become disruptive in any of that work. So again, that's something that we talked about, and I believe that's something that we can accomplish over this next year. So it is a little bit more uniform and straightforward.
I'm not going to vote against it because, as I said, there's been a lot of work put into all of these. But my belief is we need one.
Yeah, and that gives us a direction as far as taking next steps back for next year, for sure.
I hear a committee member volunteer. It's usually me.
Well, I tell you, it helps to have fresh eyes. I'm going to tell you, because we see it all the time. But when you get it when you have somebody look at it from a fresh perspective, you know, because I know that you had a couple of things that you found, it just helps us because we don't always see it. So I appreciate you taking the time to read and taking the time to let us know about that, because we will make that better. And it should.
Thank you.
Well, I don't know if there'd be a way, I know that they are uploaded to our website, but if there was I guess a digital version that someone could go and search for.
Yeah.
And it would like pop up, you typed in attendance, it would pop up, or tardies, or, sickness, you
Yeah.
just type that in, it would pop up to that.
That's actually
that
something
page.
we can do. We could have them
That could be
have
helpful.
it, that's not that hard to do.
Okay.
Have it search words.
Mhm.
We might have to change the format a little bit on how we send those out, but that should be something, that's a great idea.
Do they email
Yeah.
every year? I'm trying to remember. How do we distribute? I know we don't distribute paper copies anymore,
Yeah.
but are they emailed so that at the start of the year, families?
They are on the websites, and then, we do give new students an actual physical copy. And, but primarily, we have just had them on our website, because we've typically not emailed them to every student.
Someone had asked me
Yeah,
about that,
yeah,
and I thought,
yeah.
I don't know. And so I think maybe some people might benefit.
Now,
from
they are in our new enrollment forms,
Yes.
and
Okay.
so,
They'll see it.
well, theoretically, yes.
If one enrolled.
Yeah. All good suggestions, thank you.
Well, we have a second person for the committee, so Andrew, thanks for stepping forward on that. So,
Well,
we
we
do
are,
have,
we are matching.
yeah, we do have a motion and a second for the approval of the student athletic handbooks. All those in favor of approval, would you please signify by saying aye?
Aye.
Hi.
Any opposed? The approval is moving forward, and take the rest of the comments under advisement for future revisions. The next item on our agenda is the approval of the 2026 budget calendar. The Department of Local Government Finance requires annual approval of the budget calendar by the school board. The 26 budget calendar is in your packet and includes the dates for the public hearing on September 23rd and final approval on October 14th. I guess I would entertain a motion and a second, and then also any questions on the approval of the 2026 budget calendar.
I move to approve the 2026 budget calendar.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions or need for clarification on the calendar? All right, all those in favor of approval, would you please signify by saying aye?
Aye.
Hi.
And any opposed? All right, the calendar approves. And then next item on the agenda is the approval of the communication and supplemental materials fee. Recently passed HEA 1002 allows school corporations to charge reasonable fees for non-curricular materials and supplements for instruction. HEA 1002 revises Indiana Code 2026-12-1 to add a new section, C. This section does not prohibit a governing body of a school corporation or an organizer of a charter school from assessing and collecting a reasonable fee for supplies and materials. In your packet is a detailed description of the fee components that fit the criteria for HEA 1002 and our recommended fees of $36.91 for K through 2 students and $46.97 for subsequent students. So I'm looking for a motion and a second to approve the communication and supplemental materials fee.
I move to approve our communication supplemental material fee for 25-26 school year.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any questions or comments on the supplemental material fee? All right, all those in favor of approving it, the communication and supplemental materials fee, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. And last but not least, we have the approval of the CMC contract amendment for 2025 re-roofing project. In your packet is an amended contract agreement from R.L. Turner to serve as our construction manager for the re-roofing project. The amendment comes from the original contract signed with R.L. Turner in 2022 at the beginning of the construction project. And the amendment simply outlines our intentions to continue working with them through completion of the re-roofing project. We do have a representative from our trusted project person from R.L. Turner is here if there are any questions or concerns about that, but looking for an approval or a motion to approve and a second for the contract amendment for R.L. Turner.
I'd hate he came all this way and doesn't get a question. Somebody.
Go get it, Mary.
Look already. He was looking at me.
He was waiting.
Yep.
I move to approve the CMC contract for 2025 re-roofing project.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve R.L. Turner as the CMC. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carry on with R.L. Turner. Motion carries.
Thank you so
Um,
much.
Yeah, other matters to come before the board this evening. The advisory committees, we have September 15th, the professional learning experience. And believe it or not, folks, we have the schedule of events that includes the start of the next school year. So there goes summer.
Yeah.
But on August 6th, staff returns all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed for a teacher work day, right? And then also on August 6th from 4 to 7 p.m., the Blue Devil Bash. And I know Mr. Jaworski is, from a conversation I had, looking for board volunteers. So if there's anybody that wants to help man a booth or sit in a dunk tank or wants to do something, that Mr. Jaworski's looking for, should we call them volunteers?
Yeah, volunteers, it's a great. Our plan is, our superintendent office is going to, kind of host, a bit of a grill out, for families to take advantage of while at the Blue Devil Bash. We got a lot of different vendors, a lot of booths are gonna be out there available. Really encourage everybody to show up because, we're gonna hopefully build on the success we had last year. Last year was a great success and looking for it to be better this year.
Very good. All right, so if you are interested or you're not tied up in FFA or one of the other things that are going on and we could use your help at the grill or flinging potato chips or whatever it is that he'll have you end up doing. So again, that's August 6th from 4 to 7. August 7th, we'll have a staff professional development day. And August 8th is the first day for our students. And our next meeting will be August 12th in this room at 6:30. But we will have a work session, Eric, to talk about the changes to the JAG.
What
So
time will that be?
that will be at 5:30.
5:30?
And it will show up correctly. Dr. Glaze will make sure it shows up correctly on the website and all your
Absolutely.
forms. So
Is that Ron Glaze? That's gonna-
Ron
Ron,
Glaze, yes,
yeah,
or it's
my brother will make sure it's
the
all
assistant,
taken
the
care of.
assistant to the assistant superintendent. It's Ron Glaze.
Hey, Rob, before you adjourn, I think Amanda wanted to speak to the donation. Is
So I
that-
was getting ready to go
Okay.
to that.
Okay.
Did you want to, and then hopefully stay for a picture?
Yeah, that would
Right
be
with you?
totally awesome.
Yeah,
Yes.
so,
And I apologize, we have it in there as iReady. It really is major clarity. Yeah, so, but anyway, we appreciate the major clarity.
I'm just gonna read the letter, but because the check has already been, for picture purposes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dear Dr. Glaze and esteemed members of the school board, on behalf of the Boys and Girls Club of Tiffin County, I would like to extend our sincere appreciation for the meaningful partnership that we have established with Tiffin Community School Corporation. Together, we are working to expand opportunities for students and empower them to develop the skills and experiences they need for a successful future. We are proud to present a check in the amount of $6,000, and that will be $6,000 over the next 3 years, so we'll do this. In support of our workforce development grant funded program, created to benefit students across the district. This investment not only reflects our shared commitment to youth success, but also reinforces our joint efforts in implementing the major clarity systems, an innovative framework designed to help students align their education with their passions, strength, and long-term career goals. This presentation is in celebration of what we can achieve when schools and community-based organizations come together to prepare students for the future. We look forward to sharing this moment with you and highlighting the direct impact this partnership will have on the young people over the course of the next 3 years and beyond. With gratitude, Amanda Bittenbaum, Boys and Girls Club Board of Directors. I just wanted to personally extend thanks to you.
Thank you.
And to Mr. Dorsey for the work that you guys did and helping me prepare to submit the application. And although we didn't get what we wanted, we are ready and willing to stand in the gap. I know we talked about JAG and
Yes.
what direction
And-
we're gonna go with that.
And we're, and I should have shared that with the board. We are able, JAG will continue here at Tipton High School. They were able to fund it through some grants that were left over, at least for another year. They're giving that caveat, and we may be able to figure out a way to get that to happen after the 1 year, which the JAG program was an important component of this grant. And so when we found out that that may be a program that it was cut, we were trying to figure out how that was going to work. But thankfully, JAG reached out to us and we were able to continue that program. And I have had the opportunity to say that to you.
And it's probably good to note that not all schools ended up with that
No, they did not.
predicament.
No, they did
Those
not.
JAG programs
Yeah.
were not refunded,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
Tipton
yeah,
was.
yeah.
So
Yes.
in the area, it gives us a
Exactly.
nice leg up on some other schools. So excellent job on that. So thank you. And thank you for Ben and the middle school mentoring program and all the things that you collaborate with the school on as well. And we look forward to continuing that hopefully next year as well.
Building a fund.
Very good. Thanks, Amanda. All right. Well, there's nothing else. I'd look for a motion and a second to adjourn.
I move, I move to adjourn the July meeting.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned until work session, or till executive session.
Yes.
Jeez. Okay. Cookies are
Thank you,
throwing me
guys.
off.